The best word for what's happening in America right now is radicalization. That's what it is. That's what this hyped up right-wing media machine is doing. That's why it feels harder to talk about politics with other people. Harder to speak a common language about right and wrong. Harder to meet in the proverbial middle. Because some news junkies, some relatives, some neighbors are being radicalized.
So your position, tell me if I'm mischaracterizing this, is people you define as fascists do not have free speech rights.
No. My position is that communities have the right to defend themselves against groups that actively seek to eliminate members of that community.
To defend themselves against violence, or defend themselves
against violence? I mean, we're talking about...
No, but physical violence? So
yes,
if I say, for example...
We're talking about a history, a group that has a history of enacting hate crimes. Yeah, no, we're not... Are we going to pretend like we're suddenly in this ahistorical world where Dylan Roof or Wade Michael Page doesn't exist, where Anders Breivik doesn't exist? Are you kidding me?
When Trump lifers are calling for troops in the streets because they lost an election, that's radicalization. When they start speculating about breaking off and creating their own country, that is radicalization. All of this election denialism talk is radical. And yet it is infesting the airwaves. It's everywhere in the pro-Trump media. When a former Houston police captain points a gun at an ordinary air conditioner repairman because he believes the repairman is the mastermind behind a voter fraud scandal, that is evidence of radicalization having real-life consequences. These conspiracy theories spreading all around, millions of Americans clinging to conspiracy theories, this is all evidence of radicalization. And that's not easy to say. It's not an easy word to use. But it's way past time to talk about this honestly. No one should tiptoe past this predicament. Disinformation networks like QAnon are causing people to lose touch with reality. This professor told CNN that QAnon believers can get radicalized very quickly, sometimes in a matter of weeks. There's that word, radicalized. In other cases, this process is much more gradual. I mean, this right-wing rabbit hole problem. But it's all over the place. I mean, numerous sources at Fox News have said to me that they are worried.
For Russia, whether Donald Trump was secretly working on behalf of Russia.
Whether Trump was secretly working on behalf of Russia.
Whether President Trump was secretly working on behalf of Russia.
Whether the president was secretly working with Russia against America.
Whether Trump was secretly working on behalf of the Russians.
Whether Trump was secretly working on behalf of Russia.
Whether President Trump was working on behalf of Russia.
Whether President Trump was working on Russia's behalf.
Whether the sitting president was secretly working for Russia.
Whether President Trump was working for Russia from the Oval Office.
About what the channel's most popular, most incendiary shows are doing. One longtime on-air staffer at Fox recently said to me, quote, "Our audience has absolutely been radicalized by the programming on the air, from Fox and Friends in the morning to Laura Ingram's show at night. And if Fox is not radical enough for those viewers, what do? They go to Newsmax instead. They go to One America News. And then if those channels aren't enough, well, you just go onto Facebook, you log on your web browser. There are live streaming networks full of the most inane election conspiracy theories you can imagine. But they're right there. They're all over the place, online, on radio, and on TV. Now, are all the radicals on the right? Of course not. Do some liberals have radical ideas? Of course. Radical thought is nothing new in America. But radicalization is specific because it is a process with a dangerous edge. A process that takes hold when people feel alienated, when they lack social trust, when they are vulnerable to the rage and resentment of talk show hosts who promote fear and anger and offer solutions, crazy solutions, as Michael Flynn did the other day, talking about martial law. Flynn made it to the Oval Office on Friday, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. This is a process, radicalization, that often comes up in coverage of terrorism. That's usually the context you hear that word. We ask, how did ISIS members become radicalized? How did the shooters in El Paso or Orlando or Las Vegas become radicalized? Well, the answer very often is the internet, the digital land of make-believe. The same pipeline that helps my children learn, helps you connect with your loved ones, also poisons some adults and distorts their reality. The body of research about radicalization is very clear. The internet creates more space for extremism, and the echo chamber effect accelerates the process. QAnon is one really clear recent example, but so is Stop the Steal, and so are some corners of the anti-vaccination movement. Reporters see what's going on. They are seeing signs of this radicalization in American politics, and some are calling it like it is. Let me give credit to this new report from NPR, saying that domestic terrorism analysts are raising concerns, saying all the conspiracy stuff out there, all the disinformation led by President Trump is amounting to a mass radicalization of some Americans.